What is going on, guys? Paul Ryan back at it again. I hope everybody's having a good Friday night leading up to the weekend. Now let's talk some Cowboys. Good day at training camp today, man. A lot of stories, a lot of things to talk about. I'll try to keep it brief with you. Number one, this has been a constant theme all week, I feel like, really, but the linebackers, they just keep looking better and better and better. One day it's Damone Clark, one day it's DeMarvion Overshown, Eric Kendricks, and then Micah Parsons even looking good when he's lining up at linebacker. The more and more time passes, man, I can't stress enough how excited I am about these linebackers. I know that they're somewhat unproven, but I think the potential is really, really high. Uh, Another story out of camp was Dak Prescott had a press conference today. And, actually, I will touch on that here in a second. But prior to that, there was a lot of talk about Troy Aikman's comments about Dak Prescott and his future with the Dallas Cowboys. And Troy Aikman is on record saying that if the longer the deal doesn't get done, the more he thinks that Dak Prescott's going to be a free agent. And I think that's becoming a regular sentiment with a lot of people, especially people kind of close to the Cowboys, thinking that the chances of Dak Prescott becoming a free agent are greater and greater. Now, of course, the more days that he doesn't have a contract, the closer he is to becoming a free agent, right? But it seems like more than that. It actually seems like there's not a deal that's going to be done, and that Dak Prescott is going to be a free agent. And that's kind of, I don't know, man. We've talked a lot about that this off season, but as time passes, the realer it gets, the almost kind of scary it gets. But that's we still got time before that we have to make any decisions like that. But just kind of crazy to hear Troy Aikman speaking on it. Now, as far as Dak Prescott's press conference goes, he said something very interesting, talking about his wide receivers, and people were asking him about CD and touching base with CD, keeping in contact with CD, and he said yes. And then they asked him about who has been showing out in camp. I think somebody actually asked him directly about Jalen Tolbert. He had a lot of glowing remarks to make about Jalen Tolbert, but the thing that he did mention that I found very interesting was that he's got a trend the last couple of seasons that the more time he spends with a receiver in the off season, the better year they go to have that following season. Number one example was Cedric Wilson, 2021. He had a good year that year. Last offseason, CeeDee Lamb, 2023. What did he do? Only the best wide receiver in the league. Number one in receptions, yards. And then they asked him, and then that's what it was. He said Jalen Tolbert was the receiver that he spent the most time with this offseason. Now he did preface it by saying not to expect Jalen Tolbert to have a CD-esque type of season as far as putting up those type of numbers. But he did say that every time he spends a good amount of time with a receiver in the offseason, they go on to have a breakout year. So things are just getting better and better for Jalen Tolbert this offseason. He keeps stacking up good days. He keeps getting a lot of glowing remarks from whether it be Brandon Cooks, Dak Prescott, people around training camp. We've seen him making highlight catching plays in training camp as well. So good day, man. It's been a good week for Cowboys training camp. Oh, and also Brian Broaddus, he had a great comment about Marshawn Nealon. He said that he was wrong about Marshawn Nealon, and that Marshawn Nealon is a little bit more, not physical, but he's a little bit more, what's the word I'm looking for? Athletic. Athletic and faster than he initially thought. And I believe it was Zach Wolchuk asked him if he thought that Marshawn Nealon could be a day one starter. Brian Broaddus said, yeah. So you think about that. If Marshawn Nealon, I know he's a rookie, but if he could play on the left side, let Tank do his thing on the right side, and then Osa and Micah up the middle, I know it sucks to lose Sam Williams, but maybe he could, fill 90% of that void, 80% of that void, and Chauncey Golston could do 20%. I know somebody was mentioning that you could sign players to try to fill a void, and not one player has to fill 100%, but maybe you sign two players and one of them fills 75%, the other one fills 25%. Maybe we could see that with Marshawn Nealon and Chauncey Golston. And then also, we talked about it last night, but the Cowboys did bring in two veteran defensive ends as well. So, football's so close. Last night we had the Hall of Fame game. It's a good time of year. Love hearing all the positivity coming out of Cowboys camp. Just excited for football. Excited that every day that passes, the closer the season gets. But again, I hope everybody's having a good Friday night. and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace.